Hello viewers and welcome to the morning program from the Dailies on Equa Television Africa. We tend to look at stories trending on our Nigerian newspaper and also on international newspaper. I am Sele Elisha Dasham and with me is Owolabi Tosin.
Good morning, Sele. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. We get to rest from the busy day. It's the end of the working week, so you tend to refresh yourself and get ready for the next
working week.
Yes, let's take a look at our stories trending. Tosin.
Yes, on Friday, Al Jazeera on wheat supply, Russia-Ukraine war making bread beyond many Africans' reach. And this is from the African Development Bank. The African Development Bank has noted that the cost of bread is now beyond the reach of many households in Africa due to the food price increase caused by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This was disclosed by the president of the bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, said this in a speech posted on AFDB's official Twitter handle yesterday. Additional delivered the speech at the United States Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on State and Foreign Operations with the theme Global Food Security and COVID-19 Crisis, U.S. Response and Policy Options. He said the Ukraine exported 40% of its wheat and corn to Africa, and we know that with this war, that's the Russian-Ukraine war, Africa is being affected. And we know that when we talk about the AFDB boss, he has been on the issue of the food crisis, on how food can be available in Africa and people can have access to good food. And we see that we know that bread is the food that people easily run to. Like when hungry, you can easily get bread. And now the prices of bread is increasing. The price of bread is increasing. And we see the bakers, the association of those that are into baking, are saying like most of all those foods that are being baked will be increased because of flour and wheat. They are not having access to get all this because of the war in Russia and Ukraine. And this still go back to the food security. If we can support the agricultural sector, if you can support farming, because this is the rainy season, farming needs to be supported. We have some grants that CBN normally give to farmers on how they can help them in their farming and make food available. Sele, with what we are going through, with the insecurity, with the so many issues coming up on our papers every day, we should not add the issue of hunger again into it, because we see that when people are arrested, they blame and they easily push all fingers on hunger. Hunger is the one making them to go steal. Hunger is the one making them to do all sorts of things that are not right in our country. We need to make food available, and the Ministry of Agriculture should do all what it takes to make agriculture this year 2022 so that people can have the zeal to go back to farm, and the fear of the insecurity, the killing where we have farmers being killed right on their farmland will be taken away from them, where we have the securities available, deploy securities in our community so that people can go to the farm and even try to support the small-scale farming by providing seedlings and fertilizer. And again, we need to kick against erosion. We saw yesterday where the federal government, Senate are telling the state governors on how things they should do to wipe away erosion. And we see that even in the 36 states and the federal capital territory, there's this danger of erosion. So we need to look out for ways we can avoid erosion, because even if you invest in your farmland, erosion can come and wipe all these things away. So something needs to be done about all this so that we can help and have food available for everyone. On the presidential race, Emefiele visit President Buhari, laugh off resignation calls, tell Nigerians to expect news. And we know that the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, who is vying for the position of presidency, visited President Muhammadu Buhari because of what the president, what he has said, that whoever is vying for another political ambition should resign from he or she's present position. And we said that Godwin Emefiele has gone to see the president concerning his position. Sele, we know sensitive materials are being kept in CBN, and now we know that whoever is supposed to be a CBN governor should not be he should not be of any political party. And now we are seeing Godwin Emefiele vying for the post of presidency under the under APC, and now we see that sensitive materials will be kept there. So you see that it is posing danger on INEC. It's trying to show that the materials that will be kept there will no longer be safe any longer. But INEC is saying they are still looking out for alternative ways where places they can keep their sensitive materials, since the president of the governor of CBN is vying for the position of presidency. But we'll still keep our fingers crossed to see what Godwin Emefiele is saying, because he said he still have news for Nigerians. So we are still waiting to see the news he has for Nigerians. DSS distances itself from calls for Buhari's tenure elongation. IPAC kicks over Section 84 of Electoral Act amendment. Details can be found in page 28. And PDP dumps zoning as Saraki declares for presidency. No plan to attack Northerners. This is from IPOB. And UBEC to commence 2022 personnel audits of schools. The last story on Al Jazeera Friday says NJC issues fresh directives to courts over conflicting orders. Details can be found in page 13, and that's all on Al Jazeera Friday.
Thank you, Tosin. Let's take a look at the New Telegraph newspaper. Remittance, Nigerian top Sub-Saharan Africa with $19.2 billion as World Bank projects $630 billion year-end 2022. You can read the continuation of the story on page 3 of the New Telegraph. Naira falls to record 596 Naira per dollar at the parallel market. And on 2023 presidency, Clark and others betray Southeast, says Kalu. And we have still on 2023, I'm in presidential race to secure Nigeria. This is coming from Saraki. We are behind you, KB delegates issue OP. Keep a date with Destiny on May 29, says Hafsat Abiola, as Bello submit the presidential form. And we'll look up to that story on page 26. And the big story on the New Telegraph is still on 2023. Southern PDP presidential aspirant just still for the VP slot, as oaths favor North. Excuse me. The National Working Committee position must revert to the South if the North wins ticket. This is coming from Bode Church. And Pandev knocks party for just zoning. We also have an ASU strike. Female varsity students plan naked protests. No going back on disruption of the party primary. This is coming from NAS, National Association of Students. Consider students plight. Call of the strike. Buhari appeals to ASU. And we could look that story up on page 2 and 27. And I think this is a story that have been coming on every of our papers almost every day ever since the ASU went on strike. But we're still keeping our fingers crossed because it's really a sad one. Even though we know that the Minister of Education, Chukwuemeka, have actually stepped down to focus on his ambition as running for the presidency because he has actually gotten a form. We're still looking up to the Minister of Education. We're still looking up to the Minister of Labor and Employment because this is a position that is vested on them. I know the president has actually said that the Senate should look into it, and also, you know, the chief, I think the chief of staff should also look into the meeting, but it still looks as if there seems not to be a head out of this issue. And I remember saying that we need a presidential intervention when it comes to the ASU strike. Something needs to be done. We're already having the Polytechnic also lecturers plan to go on strike starting from Monday. And they said 2 weeks warning strike. And also we know the way when they said a warning strike, the way it normally ends up. So we're just hoping that we don't have to keep going on strike. They don't have to be a threat of strike before we take issues seriously in this country, because as it's looking, we'll soon declare a state of emergency on education because it really looks as if we do not take education serious in this country. So we're hoping and looking up to a time where we'll not have to keep going on strike. One institution then need to, you know, give a threat before we take them seriously when it comes to issues of affairs of the nation. Other stories still on the New Telegraph. Senator's daughter, 11 others die in Carnivoter plane crash. Blaspheming more born students alive in Sokoto, and this is really a sad one, looking at the justice that is being given. I think we need to do more to protect lives in this country, because it tends to be as if nothing is being done. When you looked at the detail of the story, it tends to be that something is fishy somewhere, because it was just about a group chat. We know the way it is when you create group chats, especially for educational purpose, and we see people using that to, propagate religion, and some rules that normally govern that, and we could see that how it turned out to be. It's really a sad one, and I hope that the security in Sokoto will really do something about it. I know that the Bishop Kuka and also the Sultan there is kicking against that. So for those who are behind it, I hope that it will be brought to book, and that the rule of law will really take its place at the end.
Yes, so we've gotten to a point where the importance of life is people don't even understand the importance of life any longer. And we see that Deborah, who was a 200 level student of the Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto, she was lynched and burnt to death over alleged blasphemy. And just as you said, just a group chat. And what did she say? She said it's supposed to be about educational activities on this group chat, not religious things. And we saw what happened to her. People have raised their voices. The governor of Sokoto State, that's Aminu Tambuwal, and even the Sultan of Sokoto. We have others, even the bishop, that's Bishop Kuka. They've all raised their voice. We are still seeing people raising, governors, aspirants are raising their voice. We need to understand the importance of life. We should not take law into our hands. Justice is being served, and some people, 2 students, have been arrested concerning the death of Deborah. But we're just hopeful that others will be arrested. You can imagine that even at the point where she was being burned, someone was taking pictures and posting that he is the one who burned her, and he will do same to others who involve themselves in acts like this. We need to understand the importance of life, because I feel that there are people who have done things like this, and they got free with it. That's why youths are doing things like this. We keep on saying about jungle justice. We kicked against jungle justice. Why do you have your police? Why do you have your security operative? If you cannot report to the security operative, then you should not take law into your hands. And even in the case of Deborah, the security operative rescued her, but the students went up to the extent of even breaking down the security office and bringing her out to burn her. Then why do we have securities in schools? Why do we have securities in institutions if we cannot respect such people? Something needs to be done. Justice needs to be served, and we are just hopeful that the governor of Sokoto State and even the Sultan of Sokoto State will bring the issue down, and even the federal government need to intervene. You can imagine what youths are doing in people that we see, we feel are the future of tomorrow. Is this what we want to give the future of? Are these people we want to hand over the future of Nigerians to? Something needs to be done. Justice needs to be served. Promises are being made concerning serving justice, even to the last person, and we are hopeful that justice will be served. It's not about closing down the school. Presently, the school is being closed, but we've seen instances where schools like this are closed and later on they are opened. We're not concerned about the schools. We are concerned about the individuals in the school, because these are people who comprises of the school. So we need the individuals that have done this act to be brought down to justice, and justice should serve its full course on such people.
Of course, and I hope that some measures will be put in place so that such things do not reoccur themselves again. And on the APC to aspirant resign or forfeit nomination fees, as the federal government released a circular directing ministers appointees to resign. Court joins PDP and others in Mefele suit against INEC and IGF. Once aspirants application and those waiting for my resignation suffer heart attack. This is coming from the CBN governor. SAC appointees who refuse to quit. This is coming from ZLP to Buhari. And you can read detail of that on page 226 and also on page 29. And we have a study here that said ibuprofen could worsen back pain. So you can read more about that study for those who mostly love taking ibuprofen for every small pain. Read that study on page 26 of the New Telegraph newspaper.
Thank you, Sele. On Nigerian Tribune, pilot daughter of ex-minister, 10 others die in plane crash. Why we can't investigate crashed plane. This is from AIB. And on 2023, SGF writes ambassadors, heads of parastatals, others with political ambition to vacate seats. Ngige hopeful of fruitful end of strike as ASU, Sisanu, NASU, NAT and NLC meets federal government team. And we are hopeful that it will end very soon. The big story on alleged blasphemy, outrage over killing of female student in Sokoto. Police arrest 2. Governor meets Khan. Sultan Kuka wants perpetrators brought to justice. Details can be found in page 5. Ohaneze Pandef knocks PDP for throwing presidential tickets open. And 32 states, 233 local government risks flood disaster. Federal government warns. And thank God it's coming like very early since the rains have not become very heavy. We need to do something about this flood disaster, and we just hope that NEMA will intervene in this situation. INEC to adopt manual electronic transmission of results. Federal government licenses 12 new private universities. Vastis now to decide 30% of curriculum. And this is coming from NUC. I think all those private universities that are being licensed and coming into existence, they are the ones like overshadowing our federal universities, because you see this strike now that the federal university and the public universities are on for this long. We have this private university. I keep on saying, what about those people who cannot afford the prices of these private universities? And when you see these private universities, they are owned by governors, senators, politicians. Then what happened to the common man that can't afford this? Even irrespective of having these private universities, licensing these private universities, we should still give importance to our federal universities, because most of these people have been product of these public universities. They benefited from it. Their children also are benefiting from public universities overseas. So let's put more importance to our educational sector and look out for ways we can kick against all these issues of strike that are lingering for this long.
True, Tosi.
I am having fun. Let Nigerians have heart attack. This is from Godwin Emefiele. Keep a date with Destiny on May 29. Bello campaign DG. Tinubu is saying, I don't know where others are running to. I'm running to the villa. Details in page 3. And my ambition is to fill gaps left behind by Buhari. This is from Governor Fayemi. And that's all on the Nigerian Tribune.
Thank you, Tosin. Let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. Afenifere, Ohaneze, Pandef, and others blast PDP over open presidential ticket. And on ASU strike, protesting OAU, UNN students shut down the highways in the southeast and the southwest. Why I want to be Nigerian's president in 2023, and this is coming from Sarah Key. So you want to know why he wants to be the president, you can read up that on page 24. And still on the Vanguard newspaper, Army naps 3 soldiers over sale of missing ammunition to bandits. And I think this is the right step in the right direction. We also need to look at the missing ammunition in the police custody. That I think that was since 2019 or so, and we're just having the audits done this year. So I just hope that we'll actually keep our fingers crossed, hoping that something will be done, and that we're hoping for a positive feedback coming from the police. And the big story here, which is on 2023, ministers who failed to resign on their own, and this is coming from the presidency, says those seeking clarification from president wasting time. Justified 100 million naira for APC expression of interest forms. Notes APC needs money, but won't tamper with nation's treasury. And I think I was actually listening to an interview that was done to Gerbashi, who the spokesman of the president, and looking at the fact that he said for those who refuse to resign, he hopes that the party will keep the money, because the party needs the money, because they are not touching the national treasury and they are falling back on this nomination forms money to be able to run their campaigns and other things. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed to see what will be the penalty for those who refuse to resign. Already we are having an insight on it, so we'll still follow the story and see how it ends.
Yes, and we still have some ministers that are saying they still want to clarify it from the president, Mr. President, like in the likes of Ngige and even Amici who say they want to clarify from Mr. President, and now we are seeing that those seeking clarification from President, they are wasting their time. it's already clear that they should resign, because if you are vying for other positions, then you should resign. You can't occupy two positions under the same parastatal collecting your money from one same account. So something needs to be done. If those ministers should understand that, even with the clarification, they are still wasting their time. We still see Godwin Emefiele also seeking for clarification concerning his position. So something needs to be done, and we need to understand that even those people that are vying for other position understand what it takes to vie for another position while occupying a position even under the federal government.
And we have some few picture stories here on the Vanguard newspaper. Saraki declares presidential bid. We can also see the National Productivity Order of Merit Reward, where we can see President Muhammadu Buhari congratulating the chairman of BUA Group, Alhaji Abdul, after Rabiu received the National Productivity Order of Merit Reward yesterday in Abuja. Looking on is the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. We have Keep a Date with Destiny on May 29. Hafsa Abiola tells Nigerians as Yahaya Bello submit presidential form. Detail of that can be found on page 8, and that's all on the Vanguard newspaper.
On Friday, leadership on Deborah's death, Tambuwal Sultan Kuka appeal for calm, demand justice. ISIS released video of execution of 20 Nigerians in Borno. This is really sad. So talking about insecurity, and we saw the Secretary General of the UN when he came to Nigeria. He said we should not allow the military alone, because the military alone cannot fight this issue of insecurity. We need to try and mobilize other security outfits like the state policing. We need to encourage them. We see in the West where Amotekun is being encouraged even by state governors and empowered, and we see that they try to curb this issue of insecurity right from the grassroots level. And we see what is happening in Borno State, where 20 Nigerians are being executed and videos are being sent across to people. You can imagine how the kind of danger it will create in the life of people and even family members. We're here to get out of the issue of those who are abducted in the Kaduna Abuja train attack, and we're seeing this happening. Something needs to be done on issue of insecurity. I keep on saying on the NIN-SIM linkage, what is happening? Because these people place calls, these people send videos, then why can't their phone lines be tracked? Because if they are tracked, is another step in apprehending these people. Something needs to be done about insecurity. We should not just be relaxed and fighting it the normal way we are used to fighting, because these people are really improving on themselves, like on a daily basis. Sele, we need to improve on ourselves as a security parastatal. I keep on saying, why do we have our securities even in town? They should go to places where this thing is really happening, where the tension is hot on those people. Something needs to be done about this issue of insecurity, because sending this picture down to family members, sending it out for it to spread is really not encouraging at this point in time. Something needs to be done about this whole issue of insecurity in our nation. Odili retires from Supreme Court, backs restructuring. And Jonathan, not yet registered member, Bielsa APC insists. The big story for abandoning zoning principle, Southeast Sudan PDP after 23 years of party loyalty. The rider says South leaders kick, says party has dug its grave. Atiku, Wike, Anyim, Obi, Emmanuel intensify consultation, and I will bridge between North and South, Saraki declares. On quit notice, Emefiele visits President Muhammadu Buhari, urges Nigerians to expect news. And Iwuga's pilot daughter, 11 others die in plane crash in Cameroon. May their soul rest in peace. The last story on leadership on fuel scarcity. Federal government faults Ipman's 500 billion naira bridging claims. And that's all on Friday leadership.
Let's take a look at the Punch. Inadequate database threatens SIM NIN registration. NIMC admits deficit. We can read more of that on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Despite the 129 billion naira intervention loan, agric imports hit 2.7 trillion naira. INEC says 1.4 million online registration invalid. Detail of that can be found on page 8, and I advise people to check on that registration because it's important their registration is valid for the 2023 election. Buhari signed anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism bills. Household consumption rises to 108 trillion naira. This is coming from MBS. And Nigerians, 15 million out-of-school children population frightening. This is coming from Obasanjo. But it's not just for us to be fighting. What are we doing about it? It will show about our seriousness. It's not just for us to record this number of out-of-school children, but what are we doing to make sure that they are back in the classrooms? And this starts from our seriousness as a nation. ASU is on strike. Lecturers of the Polytechnic will still be on strike. And most of the, as a result of insecurity, most of these public schools in Borno, Yobe, KB, there is no structure there for students to be back in their schools. The security agencies are not there. So definitely students will be out of school and they will now be used as hoodlums to cause confusion in the nation. Elections is by the corner. Primaries is going to be starting by May. 1 week, 2 weeks, APC, PDP will be having. So what are we doing? It's not just for us to come out and say it is fighting, but we have to do something. Back your words with your action. This is what I know the viewers, Nigerians want to hear, that this is the steps that the government have put in place to make sure that schools are back in school, students are back in schools. Because education has no limit. We have to do something about it. Just like you rightly stated, when we had the Secretary of the UN, when he came over, he gave us steps what to do. I remember, was it yesterday or 2 days back, where we said we needed Chinese to help us rescue the Abuja train, those who are in captivity. We should also look for ways where we can make sure that the environment is conducive for students to study, because even if schools are open and you are scared that possibly anything can happen, psychologically their minds are not even in the classrooms. I gave instances of, I remember when I was interacting with students where they say whenever they're going to sleep at night, they have short knickers because they are scared something might happen to them. Students don't even have a peaceful sleep, and we know the use of sleep to students to study and bring out good results at the end of the day. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. I always say this. We're not out here to say that the government are not doing well, but we're out here to tell them to up their game, to top it up, to do something more. We cannot keep applying the same tactics and expect to see different results. We need to try things in a different way. So we just hope that something will be done, because just like I said, education is the mirror of the society, it's the bedrock of the society. If you fail to educate students, definitely you are bound to open attack from anything. Other foreign nations will laugh at us, they'll mock at us, and we say we are the giant of Africa. We need to maintain that name whatever it takes, so we need to do the right thing in the right way. Other stories still on the Punch newspaper, which is a big story. On 2023 presidency, Jonathan submits the APC forms today. Emefiele Sean resignation calls with the rider. CBN governor entitled to stay in office 30 days to general election. This is coming from Ozihome. Adamat appointees to APC INEC Yahaya Bello submit the nomination form. Buhari's resignation order to save APC candidates from loss. This is coming from the presidency. We have some picture stories here. Hashtag end the ASU strike. Different students in different places. We are hoping something will be done about it. And on ASU, VC fear delayed admission process. Student protest spread. Lassa fever kills 149 in 4 months, says NCDC. And I think we've been recording this Lassa fever, cholera, and the rest. And we know the way the weather is right now. Definitely we'll be having rodents here and there, something. So I just hope that NCDC will look into steps that we can curtail this. The Ministry of Health should put their hands together in various states to make sure that we'll be able to do something. And also as households, we need to make sure we keep our environments clean and our footsteps tight. We had talks attack Udu female aspirant supporters, several injured. Lagos land grabbers kill 4-year-old father, demands justice. It's really a sad one. We hope justice will be served. And on the blasphemy, Sultan Kuka condemned the student for the lynching of the Sokoto female colleague. Inside the world of Nigerians' deadly money ritual is where human parts are traded like commodities. 1. So we can actually read more of the inside of the world on page 20 and 26 and also page 27 of the Punch newspaper.
Thank you, Sally. On Daily Independent newspaper, section 84, subsection 12 says political appointees sue APC INEC over disqualification threat. Former minister's daughter, 11 others perish in plane crash. The big story, PDP draws flags for throwing 2023 presidential ticket open. Ohaneze warns party not to pick Northerners as flag bearers. And Pandef is saying PDP's decision unfortunate. Party has dug its own grave. And from Huriwa, throwing contest open confirms party as a huge scam. Manufacturers insist on bailout funds, worried over forex shortage production costs. And on alleged blasphemy, police arrest suspects over killing of female student in Sokoto. 445 local governments in 32 states at risk of heavy flooding, federal government warns. And over 20,000 Nigerians, women, girls stranded in Mali. This is from NAPTIP. Emefiele meets Buhari, keeps Nigerians in suspense over presidential bid. The last story, ASU, others may suspend strike soon as federal government intervenes. Details can be found in page 4 of the Daily Independent newspaper, and that's all on the Daily Independent.
Thank you, Tosin. Before we continue with other stories that are trending on our Nigerian newspaper, we shall take a time out where we'll open the phone lines for you to call us and let us know what your views are, your feels are concerning any story that's of interest to you. And also, you can drop your comments on Facebook, and we will do well to read them when we get back from this break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, the program is from the Dailies on Echo Television Africa. I am Sana Elisha Dasham, and Tosa Wallaby have been doing this with me. We have a comment on Facebook, and I right to take that. This is coming from Sunday Bulum. He said, "Good morning, Echo TV. I'm watching you live from Chibok, Borno State. May God continue to bless you all." Thank you so much, Sunday, for that comment. Remember, we're live on Facebook, and also our phone numbers are displayed on your screen, so you can call us and let us know what your views are concerning any of the story that is of interest to you. Let's move to the paper, and we have from the Nation newspaper. Protesting student block highway as adamant after talks. Detail of that can be found on page 28 of the Nation newspaper. Retirement of justice depletes the Supreme Court, and you can find that on page 25. Expect flooding nationwide, agency alerts Nigerians. And just like you said, Nigerians need to be on their toes. Clear all the water drainages that are around you. Make sure whatever refuge that are there, do whatever it needs for there to be sufficient waterways so that you will not fall into flooding. And I know that the government are also trying to do their best. INEC reconsidering safekeeping of ballot papers in the CBN vaults. Detail of that can be found on page 4. And the screaming story, Emefiele meets Buhari as SGF clarifies quit order with the rider CBN governor. I'm having fun. Appointees to the APC and INEC, and you can find more of that on the front page and continuation on page 4. AFC backs Africa Economic with $2 billion facilities. El-Rufai, Kaduna delegates pledge support for Tinubu, and we can see a picture story there where we can see Tinubu with the El-Rufai of Kaduna State while he's addressing them. Federal government launches mobile app to tackle insecurity, and we hope that this mobile app will be used and nothing will be done so that we'll be able to curb all these insecurities going on in various states. And that's all on the Nation newspaper.
On Nigerian News Direct, Wigwe is saying access holdings to unlock new opportunities for inter-Africa trade. And Ahmed Samad Rabiu, 48 others conferred with National Productivity Order of Merit Award. FIRS, what are the obligations of taxpayers? These are questions taxpayers are asking to know the obligations and what is needed, what the government have in return for them. Because you see that taxpayers are lamenting. We are the ones paying the tax and nothing is coming back to the taxpayer. So they need a clarification on what the obligations of the taxpayers is and what the government need to give them in return. The big story, Buhari yet to receive ministers' resignation letters. This is from Femi Adesina to meet all exiting ministers today, with details in page 3. And on End SARS, Osun government presents 53 million naira check to victims of police brutality. ABCON unveils roadmap on Save Naira campaign. And on alleged blasphemy, police in Sokoto arrest 2 students. And we have Femi Adesina's column at the back page of the Nigerian News Direct, and that's all on the paper.
Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper, and this is from the 2023 presidency. Saraki promises peaceful and united Nigeria. And we have no plans to attack northerners, others in Igbo land, says IPOP. And the big story here, which is on section 84, subsection 12, appointees have today to resign or risk APC disqualification. With the rider, federal government releases detailed categories of persons expected to resign. Emefiele makes Buhari says there will be news soon. Political appointees sue APC, INEC over disqualification threats. And then we have, you have done well by asking appointees to resign, but apply same decisiveness to insecurity and also to ASU. We have a picture story here, which is state lament as the federal government school feeding program crawls. And we know this is something that actually encourage most of the small ones to go to class because they know that there'll be a meal at the end of the day. So we just hope that the federal government will look into that feeding scheme again, because this is really something that delights their heart. You know, when there are meals for kids, they tend to pay attention to whatever they are being taught in class. So we hope that the federal government will look into that. Buhari begs ASU to end strike as ZLP 15 others threaten protests. And we have group raises the alarm over influx of non-Nigerians into the southwest. And on zoning, Pandef Ohanizi Kik accuses PDP of treasury. Economic governance to suffer as APC and PDP gather 43.9 billion naira from funds. And you can read more of that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And that's all from the Guardian.
On Daily Sun, PDP under fire for dumping zoning. Ohaneze, Middle Belt Forum, Afebwa, others kick. We won't support Northern candidate, vows the Middle Belt Forum, and party weakening its chances. This is from Yakasai. NJC recommends 46 judicial officers for appointment. And on 2023, which is making rounds, federal government insists Malami Ngige, Emefiele Amechi must resign. CBN governor meets Buhari, keeps mum on next move. Political appointees sues APC, INEC over disqualification threats. And again, Buhari appeals to ASU to call off strike, direct resumptions of negotiation, student protests in Ife, Unsuka, Block Express.
We have a caller from Moses. Good morning, Moses. Please go on with your comments. If you can hear Moses, please go on with your comments. Okay, I think we're having network issues. I just hope you call us back again, Moses.
On the Daily Sun, again, Buhari appeals to ASU to call off strike, direct resumption of negotiation, student protest in Ife, Nsukka, block expressway. And on presidency, Kalu replies Clark insists South-South with many aspirants betrayed the South-East. INEC to partner EFCC to checkmate campaign finance, malls relocation of election materials from CBN. 233 local governments in 32 states to experience severe flooding, federal government warns.
All right, so we have Moses is back on the line. Hello, Moses. Please go on with your comments.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go on, Moses. We can hear you.
I just want to thank Equity. You guys are doing wonderfully well.
Thank you.
I'm about to hear you. It's all right. I just called to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Moses. And still on Daily Sun newspaper, Supreme Court Justice Mary Odili bows out, calls for restructuring of Nigeria. And I'm a bridge, I can do it, Saraki tells Nigerians. When he declared his presidential ambition yesterday, he's telling the youth, he's telling Nigerians that he's a bridge and he can do it. The rider formally explains why he wants to be next president. Court to hear his suit against EFCC, ICPC, others, July 27. NSA seeks collaboration in coalition move against ISIS.
Okay, so we have Godwin from Abuja. Good morning, Godwin. Please go on with your comment.
Something that MFA and the rest are still consulting. Can you hear me?
We can go on.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Go on with your
Can you
comments,
hear me?
Mr. Godfrey. Yes, we can.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Mr. Godwin, please go on. We can hear you.
Why is it that MFA, the sitting CBN governor, is still dragging his foot to resign? Sitting on our money, want to use. Can you hear me?
Go on.
Our money, want to use it to go and do campaign, to do other things. Why is it? Is it not just because it is Nigeria that anything goes? A sitting CBN governor with the whole state, their resources, is sitting there. He doesn't want to resign. He wants to use the resources, the state resources and the apparatus to go and campaign. You are getting it. Why are they for dragging to resign? Eh? If you're looking for this position now, you have 100 million naira to pay for the form. Why don't you resign and go look for your brighter future or greener pasture? Huh?
Thank you, Godwin, for that.
The thing is disheartening. It's mind-boggling. If not for it is this particular Buhari's government, if it is another government, let him sack all of them. Let him sack all of them so that they will pursue their political ambition. But that's my take, you know.
Thank you for that contribution, and I hope that the government actually keeping that in mind. That's why we're still waiting for the news concerning whatever decision will be taken on the CBN governor.
And that's all on Daily Sun, Sele.
Thank you. Let's take a look at the Voice of Liberty. And on 2023, El-Rufai Kaduna delegate endorsed Tinubu. Ariwa Consultative Forum denies endorsing Jonathan for 2023. Oil and gas, NNPC to be fully privatized within 2 months. This is coming from Mili Kiare. Buhari appeals to ASU to call off strike. Okay, hello, Egochukwu from Suka. Good morning. Please go on with your comments.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Hope you're all wonderful this morning. Please, I want to speak on a few issues. One of them is about the killing of the students in Sokoto State. First of all, this outrageous act by some religious group has been on, and I believe leave this in the country, Nigeria. If the government does not support it, they should do something to prove to the whole Nigerians that it is not a purported act. And even those who are supporting the killing should be apprehended, because in the media, in the social media, you see so many posts giving support to such killing. They should be arrested. On the other way around, the issue of ASU strike, I support this protest of the students. I keep saying it. I support them. Let them keep on protesting. So with this, I want to say you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Obuchukwu.
Yes, and still on the Voice of Liberty. The big story here, Buhari signed 3 anti-money laundering bills into law. President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday signed into law 3 bills aimed at improving the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing in financing the framework in Nigeria. We're keeping our fingers crossed concerning those who are financing insecurity. I remember they say it's going to be a secret trial, but we're still hoping, when is that trial going to start? Who are the people involved, and what are the steps that the government are going to put in place to make sure that they actually face the full wrath of the law at the end of the day? Still on the Voice of Liberty, PDP has dug its grave for gender zoning. This is coming from Pandev. Self-determination groups seek cancellation of the 2023 general election. And we still have a countdown concerning the Kaduna train terror attack. This is 46 days in captivity. We are hoping that they'll be reunited with their families soon.
And on Blueprint newspaper, Emefiele foray into politics won't compromise integrity of election material. This is from INEC, says CBN capacity never in doubt. Assures varsity teachers in polls. And the big story says Buhari quit order in 2023. Nigerian envoy FCT advisor drags APC and INEC to court. Wants Section 84, subsection 11 and 12 of Electoral Act voided. Urge court to restrain party electoral body from disqualifying them. CBN governor is saying, I am having fun. There will be news soon. ASU strike, 15 political parties threaten to join student protest. Buhari begs striking teachers to harp on dialogue. On Ukraine-Russian war, Africans won't be able to buy bread soon. This is from the African Development Bank. Ayade sacks Calabar monarch over partisan politics. And mob kill set students ablaze in Sokoto over alleged blasphemy. Books, other print material costs to jump as import hits 1.23 trillion naira. And 38 years after, SSS removes journalists from watch list. About 8.5 million customers yet to link SIM with NIN, says Airtel. And Global Coalition moves against ISIS. NSA Mongono 6 collaboration with foreign aids on how we can fight this insurgency group and how we can put hands together to kick against insecurity in our nation. And that's all on the Blueprint newspaper.
All right, let's take a look at the world of business from national economy. Naira for dollar incitement pushes Nigerian remittance to $19 billion in 2021. And the big story on the national economy, no end in sight to environmental degradation for 30 million Nigerians, with the rider as 10CS $100 billion divestment process last compensation plan. Federal government food drags on comprehensive policy framework on divestment. Detail of that can be found on page 4. Nigerians spend 108.47 trillion naira on household consumption in 2021. DMO lists 225 billion naira federal government bond for subscription by auction. And we have Abdul Rabiu wins the National Productivity Merit Award. Detail of that can be found on page 5. And that's all on the national economy. Tosin, thank you so much. I know we have quite a number of papers, but our time is quite spent. Do keep a date with us again next week, Monday, when we come with yet another wonderful stories that are trending on our papers. And keep a date with us by 7 p.m. today, where we will look detail of some of these issues that affect us as Nigerians. Have a blessed weekend ahead. Goodbye for now.